Hey friends, welcome in. It's Pepper and ready to talk about God and QAnon. I just decided at the spur of a moment decision to come online and bring you a reading from this devotional book that I have called Heaven on Earth by author Chris Tiegreen, and also give a little bit of my thoughts about QAnon at the end of this broadcast. So, without further ado, we will get started on this reading. So this reading is actually going to bring us a verse of scripture right at the top from Ecclesiastes 3, and this is verse 11. God has made everything beautiful for its own time. God is writing a story, but like all great stories, it's full of ups and downs, twists and turns, and impossible situations that seem to have no possible solution. No one is moved by a story with perfect characters and a few bumps in the road, but grand epics with plenty of humor and drama and happy endings are inspiring. That's the kind of story God is writing, and each one of us is in the middle of it. Many people have chosen to judge God in the middle of the story. That's easy to do. If any fictional character could talk to his author, he would likely have plenty of complaints about the brutality of the plot. That plot often seems to go in the wrong direction, but the character doesn't yet see the end. If he could, he would be encouraged. But when everything is looking bleak, as all good plots do at times, we tend to judge the author for letting us down. God makes everything beautiful in its time. The kingdom story doesn't end in the middle, when everything looks bleak. It doesn't leave us hanging in impossible situations, wondering how we might possibly survive, and lamenting that the enemy seems to get away with everything. No, this plot is the kind that intrigues audiences with its twists, amazes us with its resolution, and provokes thunderous applause at the end. We might be sitting on the edge of our seats and biting our nails all the way through, but when it's over, we exhale and talk about it being the best story ever. It's beautiful in its time. Trust God in the middle of the story. Don't draw any conclusions until you see what his conclusions look like. Know that the plot ends well. And whatever obstacle you're facing today is a normal twist for a great storyteller like God. We are not living in the midst of a tragedy. The kingdom story is both stunning and satisfying, and it's beautiful in its time. And that, my friends, is the reading from the devotional book Heaven on Earth by Chris Tiegreen. And it actually is the reading for today, for June 3rd. And I thought it was a great reading to tie in to what's going on out there in the world right now, because we are in the middle of an amazing story. We are in a time where we are watching so many events unfold right now. And in the midst of all that's going on in the world, we have someone or a group, we don't know, called QAnon. And whether or not you believe in QAnon or not, I don't think is really relevant to the story that we're in the middle of. I think the amazing thing about the Q story is it's opening people's eyes to a lot of things that are going on in the world right now, and causing people to talk, to research, and to really dig deep and find out what the truth is. And along the way, there are a lot of people who are broadcasting about Q. And one of them that we all know and who gave me permission to say his name is Praying Medic. And I just wanted to share a few thoughts on what I think I see happening out there regarding QAnon and the people that broadcast or tweet about QAnon. And Praying Medic is just one of many people who are bringing a lot of good intel breakdowns and broadcasts about QAnon. And so for those of us that know Praying Medic and know his heart and know about his ministry, we know that Dave is one of those people who is a follower of Jesus Christ and who has allowed himself to become more like Jesus Christ throughout the years that he's been following him. And I think it's a fair statement to make about each one of us who are followers of Jesus Christ. You know, we are allowing ourselves to become molded into his image. Doesn't mean we're perfect, doesn't mean we always get things right, but along the way, we realize we're getting a better idea of how God works and how God thinks. And when we become more Christ-like, it's pretty amazing what he does in each one of us, because he's going to take a lot of the things that should not be in our hearts, anger, bitterness, things of that nature, and he gets rid of them out of our hearts. And what that does is God allows for us to become more effective no matter what the situation or circumstance or story we find ourselves in the middle of. And when those kinds of things happen to people, we get a really clear picture from God about what his intent and purpose is for our lives. And that's basically what prophecy is. And so for people like Praying Medic, or even James R., Daniel Barron, Mary Grace, some of those people that we're familiar with, that we see broadcast all the time, we can see something in them that I would equate to a person that has something that I would call a pioneer spirit or a forerunner. They're people that are ahead of their time, that are really at the forefront of a movement, or if you want to look at another way, they're at the forefront of a move from God, a move of God. And one of the things that I've come to realize about people like Praying Medic or Lisa Mae Crowley, folks like that who are talking about QAnon, what I realize about them is someone like Praying Medic is a visual aid about what's going to be coming next, right? He takes the information from Q and he breaks it down so that we can understand what the information is telling us. And it gives us a visual aid, a picture of what's coming next. James R. does the same thing on his broadcasts. So does Daniel. So does Chris Mack. Those are the kinds of people that we have in our group that are doing their best to bring people the honesty and the truth that's needed out there in the world. And I think in the middle of this story, whether you do believe in Q or not, I wanted to bring a point that our friend Rob posted about the other day. I shared it on my timeline on Twitter. And what Rob talked about was humility. And humility is something that I've noticed is lacking with the viciousness, the slander, and the attacks that folks are making on people like James, Praying Medic, and others in our group. And so what Rob said about humility is, humility isn't weakness. Humility is knowing what words will destroy an opponent, their viewpoint, and their ego. But humility causes you to not release those words because you believe in your heart, or you believe that that person's heart that you want to accuse, that you want to attack and destroy, his or her heart is more valuable than winning an argument. And Rob went on to say that humility is the superfruit of combining love, gentleness, and self-control. And so if anybody were to listen to this broadcast or on replay, I would just want them to take that point away from all of this, that humility isn't weakness. Humility is realizing that it's more valuable to protect a person's heart than winning an argument, whether it's online, on a timeline, or on Periscope. So those were my thoughts on QAnon and the things that I've seen happening out there, and the unfortunate circumstance that I find myself in personally, where people won't speak to me anymore, or call me anymore, or share my tweets anymore, which the tweets I don't really, that doesn't really bother me as much as the way I've been shunned for either sticking up for a friend or sharing information about QAnon. And I even said on my timeline a couple of weeks ago that I don't think it's Q that's causing the division in certain groups. It's a choice that people make. It's a choice to have that humility within us and realize that the people that we're disagreeing with, they're still people who need love and need mercy and grace. We all need that. So, my friends, while we're in the midst of this story that we see unfolding, those were my thoughts about God taking everything and making everything beautiful in its time. And I do think that what we're witnessing and the information that we have from Q, whether you believe it or not, I do think the information is valuable. I think it's something that gives us hope when everything out there in the world looks bleak and when we feel like the enemy is getting away with everything. We see the story coming out of Arizona today. We're witnessing what's going on with children, human trafficking, and all of that. And so those are my random, rambling thoughts about QAnon. So thank you, friends, for joining in and listening. And I apologize if I've missed any comments. It was not purposeful at all. I was just talking off of the top of my thoughts. I can understand that point of view, Della Pearl, where you think people put Q on the same level as God. I definitely do not. In the same vein, I don't think that way about President Trump at all, even though I am a huge supporter of his. I would never think of him in that way. The only person that I worship is God, period. And I believe that most of the people that follow Q feel the same way. If they are worshiping Q or Trump, then there is a problem with that, and I completely agree with you, Della Pearl. So have courage, friends. Have faith that God is going to make everything beautiful in its time. And keep that idea of humility in your thoughts and in your heart as we go forward. And those were my thoughts for tonight. So I greatly appreciate everybody joining in. And we will probably be back for another reading during the week, but I can't promise when or where that's going to happen. So love you guys, each and every one of you. Have a great evening, and we will be talking again soon, I'm very sure. So thank you. Thanks everybody for joining in. I do pray the same thing, Angela, that everybody comes back together. There's no reason why we shouldn't be together at all. There really isn't. So speaking of our friend Praying Medic, he joined at the tail end. Yeah, Dave, I just literally wrapped up the reading that we had, which was from our Heaven on Earth devotional, and some random thoughts on Q and humility. And yes, I did mention you by name. Along with some other friends in our group that do broadcasts and bring us wisdom and knowledge. No notification. What? Periscope shenanigans are really crazy, even with little old Peppa. So thank you, friends, for listening, and I hope everybody took something away from that was useful. Love you guys. Have a great evening wherever you are, and I will catch you later.